Hello, my name is Robyn Guymer and I'm Professor of Ophthalmology at the University of Melbourne and the Centre for Eye Research Australia. And I'm also a retinal specialist at the Royal Victorian Eye and Ear Hospital. So when I think about the Australian Vision Research funding and how it's impacted on my career, I think back to 28 years ago when I first started as a researcher, having returned from a fellowship in London. And the very first grant I got was only for $10,000, but it was to help me continue work that I started at Moorfields in looking at the use of laser to slow down the progression of AMD. And I think about it now because I'm still doing that. I still run studies trying to show that the use of an Australian-made laser, the nanosecond laser from Alex or Nova Eye in South Australia, could potentially slow down intermediate AMD, and we still have no proven treatment for that condition, trying to slow down AMD. And so I think it's interesting how that first amount of funding from Australian Vision Research is still important to me. And I think if I look back at all the other grants that I've had, certainly very early on, I'm still looking at those same areas. So I think that fundamental early research funding enabled me to get a start. And I think that's probably the most important thing about AVR, or the Australian Vision Research, is that initial funding to enable young researchers to make their start. At my trajectory, it's pretty much followed very nicely with small grants that I've got from Australian Vision Research over the years. And I think that's excellent, that it looks as though the funding that I was given was not ad hoc or one-off, and it was certainly on pitch, and that that early research still is relevant today, 2-3 decades later. I think when we look at the 2025 impact report on Australian Vision Research funding, it's very clear to see that we have very highly regarded researchers who are able to publish in high impact journals. They're able to get additional grants from perhaps more competitive granting bodies like the NHMRC. That the fact that we fund so much basic research is very important for the longevity of eye research in Australia. It means that we're creative, we have initiative, we can think of new ideas, and that means the pipeline then for more translational work will still come down the line. So I think it's highly informative, the report, on showing us really how well Australia does in eye research and how well we're regarded internationally. It's very important to work in groups and teams, and Australia is lucky in that we have such a small number of people doing eye research relative to elsewhere, that it should be possible for us to work perhaps more collaboratively and together, trying to answer the big questions. And so I think perhaps a role for Australian Vision Research could be to try and get perhaps a bigger corpus of money, and then put out a call for a particular scheme that perhaps we could all be asked to work together to put in a proposal. But I think if there was this one pool of money that was earmarked for collaborative big picture research, and then ask us all to put in a proposal, I think that might be a good way of getting us to work together to address one major problem. The Australian Vision Research Award is a huge compliment to the work that not only myself but my team have been doing over the last almost 3 decades now. And oftentimes in research, it's a hard slog. You need resilience. You don't get rewards very quickly. It takes a long time to make a difference in terms of the disease that you're looking after. So I think to be recognised by peers, especially when those peers also have tremendously fabulous research projects themselves, it means a great deal to myself and my team. I think knowing the calibre of the research around Australia and how well it pitches with regard to the rest of the world, I know that I'm in a field where there are very worthy candidates. So it was a fabulous surprise, really, to be awarded this fabulous award. Being a clinician scientist is not easy. and not too many people choose it as a career. I think probably more important than brilliance is the qualities of resilience and perseverance, and the ability to work as a team. I think just being very smart isn't going to get you everywhere that you need to go, whilst it would be handy if you were particularly smart, but it's really gathering a team around you that have all those skills that perhaps you don't have, and to be able to direct them. But you have to be in there for the long haul, and as I said previously in one of my answers, you don't get rewards every day or every year for that reason. You do have to know what you're trying to achieve and then be prepared to stick at it. So I think resilience, perseverance is a good qualities to have if you're going to set out as a career clinician scientist. So I'd like to thank the Australian Vision Research community for their support of the work that we've been doing over the past 3 decades, and for the recognition today of the Australian Vision Research Award. I would certainly encourage people to learn more about the good work that the Australian Vision Research does, and of course feel free to donate to support the research that we're doing in Australia. Thank you.